So Michael Schellenberg is doing the Twitter files, and he was on Joe Rogan, and he's talking about censorship, and he said this.
We always point out, like, it was one of the great public interest progressive victories in recent memory that the drug companies have to name the side effects of their drugs in their TV ads.
Yeah.
Like, that's a big part of it, right? It's like a running joke. You have to name the side effects in the TV ads. Well, here were ordinary people trying to tell stories of the side effects that they had from the vaccine on Facebook and Twitter, and the White House is demanding that Facebook and Twitter censor that stuff. This is just the worst. I mean, that's just Soviet Chinese style censorship, like full on. We always point out, like,
I like the way he puts it at the end. That's just Soviet Chinese style censorship full out. We are the thing we're claiming to be fighting. We are the authoritarian dictatorship, no freedom of, no privacy, no nothing, censorship.
We always make that choice over and over and over again too. Just historically, we always err on the side of some kind of authoritarian like roundup.
Well, isn't it something that it used to be considered? Remember that the lefty people used to be fighting against GMOs. I don't want genetically modified organisms in my food, right?
Yeah, right.
And then as soon as the vaccines came around, they're like, hey, no questions about the vaccine. And if you have a question about it, you're a right-wing maniac, and they're going to take their music out of Spotify over it,
right,
and bring it over to the good people at Amazon. and so it's okay to protest GMO, but did you already say those same people used to protest GMOs? They also had a huge victory in got the big pharma have to tell you all the side effects of their drugs, but they didn't have to tell you any of the side effects to the vaccines. Isn't that amazing? Let's watch it again. I want to watch that again.
We always point out, like, it was one of the great public interest progressive victories in recent memory that the drug companies have to name the side effects of their drugs in their TV ads.
Yeah.
Like, that's a big part of it, right? It's like a running joke. You have to name the side effects in the TV ads. Well, here were ordinary people trying to tell stories of the side effects that they had from the vaccine on Facebook and Twitter, and the White House is demanding that Facebook and Twitter censor that stuff. This is just the worst. That's just Soviet Chinese style censorship.
Call it what it is. So here, I want to show you. He testified again yesterday. There's another. Here, I know what the name of this committee is. I know what it is. I'll find it for you. Hold on. Don't.
Did the IRS go to come?
It was called the Hearing on Preserving Free Speech and Reining in Big Tech Censorship. Yeah, I wonder if the IRS went to his house. So here, you want to listen to it? It's about 4 minutes long. Here we go.
Thank you, Chairman Lada, Ranking Member Matsui, and members of the subcommittee for inviting me to testify today. Here are events that actually happened. Twitter suspended a woman for saying, quote, "Women aren't men." Facebook censored accurate information about COVID vaccine side effects. Twitter censored a Harvard professor of epidemiology for expressing his opinion that children did not need the COVID vaccine. Facebook censored speculation that the coronavirus came from a lab. Facebook censored a journalist for saying accurately that natural disasters were getting better, not worse. Twitter permanently suspended a sitting president of the United States, even though Twitter's censors themselves had decided he had not violated its terms of service. Now, maybe that kind of censorship doesn't bother you, because people were doing their best to prevent real-world harm with the knowledge they had at the time. But what if the shoe were on the other foot? Consider how you would feel if the following occurred. Twitter suspended a woman for saying trans women are women. Facebook censored accurate information about COVID vaccine benefits. Twitter censored a Harvard professor for saying children needed to be COVID vaxxed annually. Facebook censored speculation that the coronavirus came from nature. Facebook censored a member of Congress for saying the world is going to end in 12 years because of climate change. Twitter permanently suspended President Biden, even though, according to Twitter's top censor, he had not violated its terms of service. Now, it's true that private media companies are allowed by law to censor whoever they want, and it would violate the First Amendment of the United States for the government to try to prevent them from doing so. But internet platforms, including Twitter, Facebook, and Google, only exist thanks to Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act, which exempts them from legal liabilities that burden traditional media companies. If Congress simply eliminated Section 230, internet search and social media platforms would no longer exist.
No, Section 230 gives people like Facebook and Twitter and Instagram protection from being sued for something that happens on their platform that injures you. right? So, like for instance, if you go and buy a book and a book about medicine, and that book has inaccurate information, and you follow that and you injure yourself, you don't sue the bookstore, you sue the publisher of the book. So why? Because the bookstore isn't the publisher.
They don't edit it.
They don't edit it. But now that Facebook and Twitter and Instagram are editing what you're saying, they now have become a publisher. And so you can sue them, except they had to get a special cutout, so you can't, and it's called Section 230, which then exempts them from being sued as a publisher. They can still pretend they're a bookstore, even though they're actually a publisher and doing editing. And so they hide. So that's what he's talking about. They have this exemption 230, from this kind of lawsuit. Do you want to say something?
Well, they all use that as, I was surprised, what kind of surprised me about the Twitter files was that Yoel Roth and all them, their memos of like, geez, they're really like leaning on us hard, and I don't know if we can censor that. Like the government was going beyond what these assholes were comfortable. Yeah,
that's right.
And how do they threaten them? They hold that over their head, that 230 thing. Same way Trump did before that they were all mad about. That's the thing is, well, you're going to do this or we're going to take away. You're going to violate the thing that gives you this status, or we'll take away your status.
And maybe that's what Congress should do. These platforms are obviously far too powerful. They are making the American people, all of us, dogmatic and intolerant. And the evidence is now overwhelming that they have played a primary cause, if not the primary cause, in America's worsening mental health crisis. We might be a healthier nation if we simply reverted to the good old days of websites that have the same liability as newspapers. But doing so would reduce rather than increase freedom of speech and may not be necessary to protect American citizens. As such, I would propose an immediate and partial remedy, which would also allow us to understand what else, if anything, is needed to protect the free speech of citizens. And that would be true transparency. By transparency, I do not mean that which is being proposed by a Senate transparency bill, which would only allow National Science Foundation certified researchers allow NSF certified researchers access to content moderation decisions. That bill would increase the power of the censorship industrial complex, which is actively undermining our free speech. Rather, I mean immediate public transparency into all content moderation decisions relating to matters of social and political importance. We do not need to know how the platforms, for example, are removing pornography or criminal activities. Those things should be cracked down upon immediately. But when Twitter, Facebook, and Google censor people for expressing disfavored views on transgenderism, climate change, energy, vaccines, and other plainly social and political issues, they must immediately announce those content moderation decisions publicly and give the censored individuals the right to respond. And to protect free speech from government.
Now, I was not given that right when YouTube, when they came at us and said that we had said wrong things about the vaccines, which we didn't. They were factually correct. We were accurate. And when asked for them to give us a timestamp on the videos so we didn't make that mistake again, they wouldn't provide that. They said no. They wouldn't show us what we said wrong. Okay, here we go. So he's saying that we should have a right to that. And if you're going to be censored by a social media platform, that the least they can do is have transparency, show you what you did that was offended, and what their decision-making process was in censoring you. And then everybody could see it.
But then you couldn't use it selectively when you want.
That's right. That's right. Then you couldn't do it to Hunter Biden's laptop.
Yeah, right. I love not telling you you don't have to know the rule you broke. That's an amazing policy.
Here we go.
Congress could require government contractors and government employees to immediately report any content-related communications they make to internet platforms. What I'm proposing is rather simple. If the White House is going to demand that Facebook censor accurate information about COVID vaccine side effects, which it did do, then it would need to immediately send an email to be posted on a website, to be tweeted out, to be put on Facebook, that that's what they did. And if Facebook is going to take down accurate information about side effects of COVID vaccines, it should be required to explain that it did that. If it's going to censor Dr. Bhattacharya or Mr. Dillon, then it should be required to explain why it did and how it did that, and it should be required to give them a chance to respond. Such a solution would not eliminate unfair censorship and content moderation, since those things are always subjective, but it would bring it out into the open. It would restore the right of free citizens to have voice, and it would open the possibility for better, freer content moderation.
So that's his big idea. So that stuff he said at the top was mind blowing. I love these are all things that happened. I love that.
I like how he has like actually state. Can you imagine if it was the reverse? No, they can't, and they won't.
No, they can't. They can't imagine if it was the reverse.
Because when it does happen in reverse, they cannot believe it. DeSantis is censoring the. Like, you didn't know that was a thing that could happen once you start this.
As I told them at the Young Turks when they were all rah-rah pro-censorship, and they still are. They still are.
So I watch videos where people go, can we stop pretending the original cancel culture wasn't the Christian right? No one pretended that. In fact, my big complaint was, why are you acting like the Bible beaters that used to censor everything? That was the whole complaint.
Yeah.
Why are you, the people supposed to be fighting that, now doing the same thing?
Exact same thing.
They burn Harry Potter, you burn Harry Potter.
Things are the thing that doesn't scare me is the government trying to censor me. The thing that scares me is most of the people in America blasé about it. Yeah. They're cherry pick. It's no big deal. Oh, it's Elon Musk. They can turn anybody into a pariah. Remember when Elon Musk was everybody's love child? Everybody loves that. Yeah, and then all of a sudden he's going to expose the censoring. He's a white supremacist. He's a white supremacist.
He's a Bond villain now.
Yes.
By the way, not for any of the Pentagon stuff.
No.
Not for any of the stuff that you could maybe say that.
Go to jimmydore.com to see my new stand-up special, COVID Lies Are Funny. For only $10, you get to become a premium member, too. And come see us do our live shows. We're going to be doing stand-up comedy in Milwaukee, Nashville, Honolulu, Los Angeles, Northampton, Massachusetts, Syracuse, New York, Cohoes, New York, Hartford, Connecticut, Baltimore, Maryland, and more. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for all those tickets.